Hey guys, back to another Bubble reaction video. So last time my reaction was actually like a while ago. I think I'm 8 months ago. So then all these weird stories that he tells almost every day on the channel.
Now before
Let's say a sample, like all these videos over here. So yeah. But he actually did make a weird story once over here. Man. Let's get awesome. Man, let's get censor these, but I do not know how to censor. I did not even know how to edit. So I wouldn't know how to censor these thumbnails. But anyway, so yeah. So we're gonna have to do the story's too deep. Alright,
I say this story real quick, I need to mention to everyone watching that this is a warning. This story is really deep and honestly, something that is not really, I guess, as crazy as the other story times I tell on this channel. So if it's your first time watching this channel, hi, my name is Bubba, and welcome to a story that's, well, I guess not really funny anymore. For years, I've been holding on to this story, and I feel like now, you know, since so much time has passed, I'm gonna tell it. And it all starts off with me back in my grade 10 year. Now, back in grade 10, I was a high schooler. I wasn't anything crazy, to be honest. I was just a basic guy, and one thing about me is I always, I guess, was trying to be a player to the max potential, meaning that I would always, like, go and riz girls, you know, go on Tinder and swipe through girls, and, well, I guess literally do anything that requires women. And it got to a point where, I'm not gonna lie, I would do the most devious things just to pull girls. Like, for example, fake an injury, to acting like I was someone else, when in reality I wasn't. But until one day I remember when I was sitting in my math class, we ended up getting an announcement from our teacher that a new student was coming. Like, no joke, she literally went in front of the class and said, "Hey class, so today we ended up getting a new student. Now, I want you guys to be nice to him. His name is Billy." His name wasn't actually Billy, by the way. I'm just putting that for the story because, well, I feel like for this character, he actually needs a name for you guys to understand. "Hey guys, my name is Billy." And he said it in such a soft voice that, I'm not gonna lie, he seemed like really sad, like for no reason. You get a fresh slate going to a brand new high school. Like, you know how jealous I would be? Well, actually, I got it 3 times because I was expelled, but that's not the point. I remember as he walked to his seat, he ended up looking at everyone. And he actually ended up taking a seat next to me since I always sat in the very back of the class so I could use my phone to text girls. I know, really cringe. But I remember Billy, he ended up looking over at me and he asked me, "Hey man, can I borrow a pencil?" Yeah, sure, here you go, man. And I ended up handing him one of my pencils that I had extra. He ended up thanking me and we ended up doing our schoolwork. And that day, I didn't speak to Billy again. Well, not never again, but that day. Because I remember 3 days go by and he started to, like, you know, meet people in his class and some guys were trying to be nice to him and hang out with him. But over when weeks went on being in our high school, he ended up being a lot more awkward. I started to see him walk around the hallways by himself. I started noticing that he was always just sitting in a corner of, like, you know, the lockers or somewhere in the hallway for really weird reasons. For reasons that I didn't understand. And it got to the point where I remember I ended up, like, walking with the boys that I had back when I was in high school, you know, basically all the guys that I would talk to about, you know, pulling girls with. And I ended up seeing him sit down. And it's funny because this guy wasn't ugly or anything. Like, he was actually a pretty cool dude. And I remember as I passed by him in the hallway after looking at him, I remember one of my buddies ends up looking at me being like, "Yo, you see that kid Billy over there sitting?" Yeah, what about him?" "Well, apparently, like, a lot of people say he's, like, really lame. Like, no joke, bro. Like, he won't talk to anybody. He's always quiet and, like, I don't know, he seems like he's not even there. If anything, to all the guys, like, he's, like, basically invisible." I didn't really understand what they meant by this, but at the same time, I guess I kind of did from the way he was acting. But I didn't say anything mean upon it because, well, I don't know the guy. Like, why would I say anything in the first place? And another couple weeks went on until something insane happened. I was walking down the high school hallway until I saw him once again, except he was sitting next to the classroom door. And that's when one of the most popular students ended up coming out of that door, accidentally hitting him with the door, which sounds really weird, and I said door a lot. And that's when this girl ended up looking over at him saying, "Oh my goodness, are you okay, Billy?" is what the popular girl said after hitting him with the door. And that's when I realized that this girl and Billy started talking a lot. And by a lot, I mean seriously a lot. They ended up having full-on conversations, and as days went on, since he was hanging out with the popular girl, a lot of the girls wanted to get to know who Billy was. Now, at this moment, I was happy for the guy, but at the same time, jealous, because Billy became talk of the school. No joke, so many people talking about Billy, and a lot of girls were saying how he was cute, and all this stuff. And I thought Billy, from all this, was gonna live the high life, you know what I mean? Like, going into a school and basically becoming popular. Yeah, well, I was wrong, because I remember I ended up seeing Billy one day doing the same thing he always did, sitting around around and just being alone. And that's when I ended up walking up to him, asking him the question, yo, bro, aren't you like super popular? Like, where's all your, like, you know, your girlfriends? And yeah, I was kind of taunting him when I said that, but he looks over at me and says, oh, I don't know, man. I don't really care for them, to be honest. What do you mean you don't care? Like, what are you talking about? You can have any girl in school you want since you met the popular girl. I mean, I don't know. It's just not my thing, man. Like, I have this thing that's like, you know, mental in my mind, but it's like, you know, just, I don't know. I don't want to deal with it. At this moment, I didn't understand why Billy was being so weird, but since Billy became more popular in our school, I decided to do the one thing, and that was basically use him for getting girls. I know that sounds evil, but it's, you know, kind of like a wingman. So I remember me and Billy started to hang out from then. And when people saw me hanging out with Billy, him being the popular kid and all, a lot of girls started wondering what I was doing hanging out with Billy. And while one thing led to another, me and him became really good friends, and he became friends with a lot of different people. Now you guys are probably wondering, wait, where's the sad part of the story? Well, we're getting to that. Because one day I remember I was hanging out with Billy, and it was actually near his birthday. And since I knew this, since I had him on social media, I ended up asking him, yo, bro, Billy, what are you gonna do for your birthday? I don't really do anything for my birthday, to be honest. It's not really something I like doing. Dude, why are you being such a slum down? Like, come on, like, we gotta do something. Here, how about I come over? You wanna come over? Yeah, like, why not? Okay, sure, yeah. I'm cool with that. And at that point, Billy had a little smile on his face, but it wasn't that smile that I was expecting since, you know, I wanted to celebrate with him. Not saying he has to smile, I'm just saying it just didn't make sense. Now, this is where things start getting really weird in the story, because I remember the day of Billy's birthday, I ended up getting him a gift of a t-shirt that I had that he really liked, and I ended up going to his place with it. And when I finally got to his place, I ended up knocking on the door for the first time, since it was the first time of me going there, and Billy's mom opens up the door. Now, Billy's mom was actually a really nice woman. She was super exciting, and she honestly was full of joy and excitement. I didn't know, like, why she was so jolly and happy all the time, but it got to the point where, I'm not gonna lie, it kind of looked like she forced a smile on her face. But I remember it was Billy's birthday, and I ended up walking in. She introduced me to the rest of the family, and one thing I noticed about this whole entire family interaction I had was that Billy was the only one that didn't always have a smile on his face. I don't know if they were trying to fake it for his birthday or something, but they were really just being super jolly while Billy was being really, well, I don't know, I guess the same loser he always was when I first met in that classroom. I don't know, it got really weird, but I started to realize something, and that Billy was not ever as exciting as his family. Because as me and Billy, after his birthday hangout, ended up going up to his room, he ended up closing his room door saying, yo, sorry about my family, they could be weird sometimes. No, it's cool. They're really just happy and stuff. I don't understand, like, why are you such a letdown? Like, your family's trying to be there for you. You became the most popular guy in school. Like, shouldn't you, like, be more cool now with life and stuff? Billy looks at me when I said that, and I won't forget his face because, well, this is when things became really odd, because Billy just looks at me and he looks back down. He doesn't even say anything back. Like, what kind of man was this guy, to be honest? But then Billy's mom comes into the room. But I guess since she heard me yelling all that, she wanted to interfere. And she says to me, Baba, can I talk to you for a second? Yeah, okay. At this moment, me and Billy's mom went into her room. And no, there was no devil's tango. Because I remember Billy's mom ends up...
Well, get the devil's tango out, alright? I don't even mention that over here, alright? Get the devil's tango out.
Sitting me down next to her on the bed, and she pulls out something from her nightstand, and it was a basic pack of pills. Didn't know why she was showing me this. If anything, I was scared because I was in high school, but that's when I saw Billy's name on it, on the pills, and it was prescribed to him, and I didn't know what they were, and that's when Billy's mom tells me, Baba, what you need to understand is that Billy suffers through depression. He's going through a lot in his mind, and he's not as happy as the rest of us. Oh, okay. What do you mean by that? Well, Billy just feels sad all the time, and he can't control it. You see, depression is something that Billy feels all the time. He's not sad, but he's very just let down with everything in his life. And it's not because we're doing anything wrong. It's just Billy's just, you know, hard to be more cheerful and open. When his mom said that to me, I didn't really understand what that meant. Like, you're telling me that this guy's forced to be sad? It sounds make-believe. If anything, it sounds make-believe to the average person. Like, let's be real here. Someone that's always sad for no reason? Like, how does that make any sense? Well, I regretted thinking that back then. Because I remember when I went back to Billy's room, Billy was just sitting there in the corner of his room, all quiet and, well, bored. And what did I do in this moment? Well, no, I didn't walk up to him and, you know, try to make things better with him. If anything, I actually ended up leaving. I just said, Billy, you do realize you're acting so sad that your mom even thinks you're crazy. Billy looks up at me once again, and ends up putting his head down. That's when I just left, which I soon realized to regret. Because weeks went on after that day, and honestly, me and Billy didn't hang out. We didn't speak again. To be honest, all the girls that I wanted to talk to, I ended up doing anyway when I was hanging out with him back then. So, you know, it just didn't matter. But then I realized as one more month goes by,
it didn't matter.
he ends up not being there. And by not being there, I mean literally not being at school. At this moment, I was confused and even got to a point where girls were asking me where he was. And that's when I ended up texting Billy after a long time of me not hanging out with him or seeing him. Yo, bro, why aren't you showing up to school? Like, skipping school now? Really? That's a new low, bro. And yeah, that was a mistake as well. Because I remember it got to the point where students started to ask the principal where this kid was, since no one saw him. And the principal ended up telling us, guys, don't worry, Billy just moved to a different school. I called his parents. He's not skipping. He just transferred schools recently. And when he said that, a lot of people started to calm down. People were okay with it. People were like, oh, okay, he's just transferring to a new school, since for some reason it's kind of odd because he just transferred to our school and then he's transferring to another school. How does that make any sense? And then as days went on, we ended up hearing an announcement. And this announcement was the one announcement I did not want to hear this day, because we ended up hearing over the announcements. Students, we want to quickly say rest in peace to Billy, and I know many of you guys know about his passing, but please let him be in our hearts. Tomorrow's assembly will be in memory of him. Thank you. When I heard that, I was shaking. I was shaking so hard, because what do they mean, rest in peace? What do you mean he's gone? Like, it got to the point where students in my class that knew him, that were the girls, started crying right then and there. I didn't understand, like, what do you mean Billy's gone? He's gone? And a lot of us that entire day, I remember, were puzzling with questions. We kept going around the school asking questions that, let's just say, really no one had the answers to since he moved away, until the assembly came. Sorry if I get a bit teary. It's just this part is a lot. Basically, I remember the assembly started and we all sat down in our bleachers, confused on why we were even having this assembly, until we ended up seeing the principal walk up in front of the school and say, you guys are probably all wondering why Billy isn't with us anymore and why he's passed. And that is because Billy had a hard time making friends. If anything, he gave up on a lot of himself. He would always transfer schools every semester, and he was really beating himself up because of it. He never made real friends. He never made a real connection. The only people there for him were his family. Billy wanted to thank you all for giving him so much attention that he needed, and he wanted to thank so many of you guys for becoming his close friends. We want to commemorate this assembly for him. Now for a moment of silence. When I heard about, you know, Billy's passing, it didn't make sense to me still. Like, this whole idea that depression even exists, like someone can actually just feel sad all the time, it didn't seem real. It's dumb because, like, you know, I think the part, like, I'm really guilty about and why I'm even making this video, back then I would kind of like pretend to act like Billy and fake, I guess, depression just to pull these girls he liked. And yeah, I mean, none of us believed it. I'm sorry, I just thought I was acting. I didn't think depression was a real thing. It never seemed like a real thing. I don't know, but after that, a lot of students started to cry, and it was really insane because, you know, I didn't even know what to say. This part of the video is so hard because, you know, we basically saw a slideshow of Billy's photos of him being in school, and a lot of them were with me, which really did not make me feel good, because the last thing I said to him was basically that his mom thought he was crazy. All I want to say is, and the real reason I'm making this video is because depression is not a joke. It's not something where you can pull girls with. It's not something that is fake. It's not something that, you know, you should make fun of or pretend to do. It is something real that really messes with people's mind. You know, if you do have depression in any way, please call this number down below in the description. And
let me check the number. I don't see a number. Oh, but I guess see that number all the time. Call 988. I think when I see like a YouTube extra in the video, or has that suicide topic thing, I think I always see that.
Get help, because I'm here for you, and I bet everyone watching this video is here for you. You just have to believe in yourself. And also, rest in peace to Billy. I'm not gonna say his real name for privacy reasons, but you know who you are. You're out there.
And I'm kind of tired.
I miss you, man. Okay, thank you.
Wow.
That's the video.
Why it was the dance screen? Oh wow, though. That was actually sad. It's one of probably like the weirdest stories I've ever told. Not like the weirdest story. Not like as weird. Okay, they got a little bit weird. The different thing. Okay, but anyways. Stop saying what was famous saying they got. Okay, anyways. So, yeah. Wow. I was actually sad. Remember, So I have to. Well, anyways, I think y'all have made like another like all weird stories once again. Besides that sound one, was was a little bit weird. So anyway, so I'm gonna get to drop this video. And you drop a subscribe, leave a like on the video. We know to get comments. And see you on the next one. Goodbye, buddy.